So, um, if there is a moment that I could go back in time and talk to my younger self, I definitely would give him some pointers about life when he's older. Um, Especially about the, things that I love. Um, you know, I never thought that I would be in this position. Um, you know, being in my mid forties, a divorced dad of two, and you know, kind of unemployed now because I fell out of love with my career. Um, you know, I don't really do these like one-on-one talk things on social media, so I'm probably gonna have a hard time uh expressing myself. But you know, I've had a pretty good career in the professional photography world. Um, Spanning about like 20 plus years. Um, I was doing high-end fashion work, in New York City, a little bit in LA. Um, you know, uh, Creating kind of editorials and concept pieces for magazines like Vogue, Elle, Harper's Bazaar, and then working with, record labels to do album covers. My career was booming during those days. And, you know, I definitely had, when I look back at it, I kind of had an attitude. I don't know. I guess it was my ego during that time where I just kind of envisioned that once I kind of made it, that I can kind of do whatever I want to do, or I could, kind of force the clients into doing what I want to do. And that's one of my like biggest mistakes that I wish I could tell my younger self not to do. I missed so many great opportunities. My ego kind of got the best of me when I was younger, and you know, I those opportunities were lost and I could never get them back. At the time I thought that I was just, doing me, like doing what I felt that I had to do to make it and to put my name out there, when in reality, I would love to get those opportunities back now. I was so focused on just doing my style of work, like what I wanted to do. And if clients wanted to do something that was not in my wheelhouse, I would reject those jobs. You know, uh, as I got older, I kind of realized that a lot of opportunities with clients and jobs, they don't really, they're not lining up. So you should take what you can get. And as I started to slowly realize my mistakes that I had made when I was younger, I think time was already up. It was too late to fully realize the mistakes that I made. And that sucks. That's a bummer. And, I wish I would have been able to change things a lot sooner. I mean, I could be in a different place right now. But I didn't. I chose that pathway and I went down it, and yeah, uh, I have to deal with the consequences of my choices. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with having to deal with the choices. I feel that there's a lot of pressure in today's world where you're not allowed to make mistakes. You're not allowed to, do poorly. You have to do good. You have to be your own boss. Yeah, like make money. You gotta do you. And, you gotta be authentic. You gotta, not succumb to who you are. And I really believed in that. But at the age that I'm at now, I wish I wouldn't have been so stubborn on kind of how I thought of my work and how I thought of the clients and just the kind of the overall attitude towards everything. You know, I should have been more open. I should have been willing to take the jobs because they could have led to something else, even though it was not, you know, a style of job that I thought fit me or fit what I look like and like my aesthetic and everything. I should have taken those jobs, you know? I mean, they could have led me to some other place. And I think maybe I was really afraid of being successful, you know, going down a different pathway and being successful at a certain style of photography, that I felt didn't fit who I was, you know, and, instead of being welcoming and I just rejected it. And, I think that attitude kind of, I don't know, it slowly started to eat away at how I felt about the industry and about my career and my creativity and just what I wanted to do, you know? You know, after maybe about, I don't know, 12 years in the industry, I started to realize just, you know, I started to realize that I was losing interest in my work and not wanting to create the things that I had done. Like, I think around 2015 or so, I kind of put photography on hold and started doing a lot of fine artwork. And I thought that was going to lead me to some place, and it did. It led me to some great clientele, and I sold some pieces, and that happened for maybe 2015, 2016, maybe a little 2017, but you know, I started to try to get back onto the commercial, you know, the commercial side of photography again, and I don't know, I was finding it harder and harder to enjoy what I was doing beforehand. I didn't know why I lost interest, you know. It could just be because I had creative block, or I had, you know, I don't know, didn't think that I was being as successful as I wanted to be. I have no idea. It's complexing. It's to figure out what I was doing during that time. You know, in 2017, around that time, I got married, to another artist, and I thought that was going to kind of be a big boost in my creativity and what I was going to kind of mature into. And there was a moment where, you know, being with another creative as your life partner, boosted up some of the creativity. You know, I had moved from New York to California, and, you know, I happened to move out there when it was the 2020, the pandemic. And so right as soon as I moved here, everything got shut down. The whole industry got closed off. And so for good almost 2 years, you know, I didn't have any work in the industry. You know, I had stuff that I did personal wise, and I did a lot of submissions and a lot of, I don't know, great kind of ideas that got me publications and got me into some nice, coffee table books. And there were a lot more, you know, there started to be a lot more, opportunities happening. But the thing that was happening was that I would get so close and then all of a sudden it would get taken away from me. And that was one loss, and then another loss would happen, and then another loss, and then another loss. And there's all this energy trying to get things motivated and working in a new city that, I don't know, it was just very draining. And, you know, I think it really killed my morale in my own work. I don't know. It's just, I want to say that I was depressed about not about like my life that I had, but just depressed in that I felt like I no longer had interest in doing the type of photography or photography in general. Just dealing with that whole world, the whole commercial world, the music world, just, you know, the grind that you had to do, the hustle that you had to do. I was just like, I'm tired. Like 20 years of hustling, you know, is draining, very draining on me mentally, physically, and just creatively, something like that. But I don't know, I just didn't enjoy doing my work anymore. I didn't enjoy having to contact a new team and see what, you know, if we can work together, and like, you know, all the stuff that I did when I was in New York, when I was starting out and continuing. And I enjoyed the process when I was living in New York, and I enjoyed the process of when I was younger, in the industry, and the hunger that I had to do stuff, you know. And, you know, after like 20 years of it, you know, I started to fight it, and well, not so much fighting it, but I started to slowly realize that my career might be over just for the fact that I've lost interest in doing that type of work. Which in my mind, I thought that I was a failure. I failed at life, or I failed at my career, you know. But, you know, I see stories all the time online about people around my age, like mid-40s and stuff, you know, quitting their career jobs or having a life change and starting their chapter over again. And, you know, I'm in that position as well, you know. But I got a lot of different life changes all at the same time. Yeah, you know, after making the move from New York to California, I had 2 kids and a divorce, and, you know, and my career was down. So I had just a lot of stuff on my plate that I didn't really plan on, or I didn't foresee. I envisioned this kind of super you know, I don't know, creative life with my partner, with awesome kids that, you know, I can provide for, and, you know, living in a nice big house, you know, all the stuff that you dream of when you're younger. Do I have some of that now? Yeah, my kids are amazing. You know, they're super creative. They're healthy. I can't complain about that, you know. The home that I have for myself and for the kids, you know, it's not, I don't own it. I rent it, but it does what I need it to do here. Do I feel upset that my marriage fell apart? Yeah, I do. That can be a whole nother topic if people want to hear about it. You know, I was the one that chose to get the divorce. But, you know, that's a whole nother story. But back to like my career, my work, you know, I I had a shoot with a full on team and everything back in, I would say October 2025. And I had that little rush, that like adrenaline rush, that sugar rush of like, yeah, you know what? I think I do love doing this. I think I enjoy doing this. I enjoy the process. I miss this. Um, and it was great. And the images came out really good. Everyone was happy about it. And I felt like, yeah, I'm back at it again. I'm going to be, you know, I just needed a little jump start. And I was completely wrong. I didn't continue trying to make up new ideas for shoots. I didn't continue following people and asking them if they wanted to work together on a project. I didn't do any of that stuff, you know. I just kind of one and done it. And now that it's 2026, it's January, you know, I've thought that, I don't know, what am I trying to say? That let me try to tackle YouTube again. I tried it last year, and I don't know, I didn't put a lot of effort into it, not a lot of patience into it, but maybe try to revamp and refocus on what I should do for like a YouTube channel. Maybe I want to stay in something creative, but I do have those urges to use the skills that I have. But, you know, at the moment, you know, I'm still unemployed, and I've been looking for other jobs in the marketing world, advertisement world, all that kind of stuff. And even looking at like jobs that were not in the creative industry, just kind of a regular day job, you know, like working at Home Depot or Whole Foods or driving cars, parked cars, you know, stuff like that. And it started to be really humbling when, even when I would apply to a job like that, who was it? Oh yeah. I applied to like an ice cream parlor place after pitching them, you know, some marketing ideas. And when they said that, they already have their own marketing team, I was so kind of desperate to find some kind of form of work that I asked them, do you have any jobs on the floor? Like scooping ice cream and put it in a cup, you know? And they asked for my resume, and my resume is like 20 years plus in the photography world. And they came back to me and said, oh, well, you wouldn't be a fit here because you don't have any experience. I was like, I don't have any experience just scooping ice cream in a cup? That was a real big blow to my self-worth and like my ego, I guess. And like, just, I don't know, it was really crappy to hear something like that, that I had all these successes in life and just accolades, and I couldn't even get a job scooping ice cream out and put it on a cone. Like, that was very humbling. So yeah, there was a lot of that happening in the past, I would say 5 months or so, of just kind of just being lost and trying to figure out, what am I going to do in life now that if I decide that I'm ending my career, like what path am I going to go on? You know, do I feel happy? Yeah, I feel happy this year. I feel happy going on. But I'm not depressed or anything right now anymore, but I am kind of a little lost on trying to figure out where my path is going to lead me and what is the next chapter. Like, I have little ideas and stuff of what it might be, but in reality, I'm still trying to figure that out. And I know that there's a lot of people out there. I've seen a lot of them in their midlife and trying to change things, or they have stuff that they don't want to do. They want to start all over again. And I guess I'm in that same boat. So I just wanted to kind of speak my mind, and maybe, there might be other people in the similar situations. Hopefully I can just expand on what my new path is now and what I'm going through. So let's see how it goes. And, I guess follow if you want to follow. All right. See you guys.